Hello, hello. Welcome back to Trading Weekly once again on Sunday, the 14th of September. How are you doing, Kay? How's your Sunday going?
Happy Sunday, everybody. Sunday's going pretty well. Just off topic, we were doing a garage sale yesterday, so it's like still trickling down from yesterday. It's still busy. Folks are reaching out for the garage stuff, but yeah, it's going great.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's dark and gloomy here today in the UK, as expected, as we enter kind of the winter months or the autumn months. It's never a fun time entering this one. Obviously, this is a disclaimer. A couple of guys looking at charts. We love to give our perspectives and thoughts, etc. So do not take this as financial advice. It's just something a little bit fun that we like to do week in, week out. Just quickly as well, we're not going to be here next week. I'm going to be in Spain.
Yeah,
So we will be taking 1 week off, but that's okay. And we'll be back the following week, which will be the 28th of September. So put that on your calendars, ready and willing. Massive thank you to Wolf as well for letting us use the platform. We couldn't do it without you. We really, really appreciate the support. And of course, once we have, where have we got it? There we go. Put your ticket request in the comments as well down below. I think we've got a few in already from some regular viewers, but we're always welcome to obviously plenty more. We'll get to that and we'll get to many, many of them a bit later on. We love to do it, love to give our perspectives, and obviously it helps us out as well, get the charts that we want to, essentially make money on. We don't obviously say that we're going to start a position today, but we take the tickets away, we do some more research, we give our feedback on those a little bit further on our X profiles as well, which you can reach us, as you can see on the screen, at Shaun Trades underscore and at Invest K. Should we jump into the slideshow? Okay,
let's do this.
fantastic. Here we go. So last week, it felt a bit bullish last week, but you can see there's a few names there not being so bullish. Let's go through some of those names. Nvidia up almost 6% there. Tesla on the right-hand side, where's my mouse? There it is. On the right-hand side, almost up 14%, which is a big, big move. I'm sure someone will bring that up a bit later on, no doubt. We've got Google on the screen there as well, 3.7%, nice and green there as well. We've got Microsoft and Meta actually trading flat, and alongside that, we've got Apple and Amazon trading just over 2%, almost 3% down as well. So there's a few it's a bit mixed bag actually. And you've got the SPY and QQQ actually generally over the week was very much in the green, but it doesn't really look like that looking at this
Oh,
screen, does it, Kay?
actually, you missed Oracle. That was the talk of the week last week.
This
Look
one
at
here,
it,
yeah.
25%. Actually, at one point, it was like up like 30 plus percent. I think on the day, the reported earnings the following day, I think they were up 30-35% on one day itself. Now for a major mega cap company to move, and that was all due to the pending contracts, like $300 billion worth of contracts from OpenAI that they would be utilizing, providing data centers for. So crazy growth for Oracle. You saw similar trend with similar data center softwares, the neo data center softwares like NBIS or CoreWeave, which we are covering this week as well. We saw growth in those as well. So crazy week from a data center and AI standpoint, I would say.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll dive a little bit more into that a little bit later on as soon as those tickers come up. Yeah, so we'll move on to the next slide then. We've got the Fear and Greed Index this week, still sitting around neutral. It's
Yeah.
felt like it's been like this forever now. It's been like this for about a month. You can see, not almost a month, should we say. So previous close, which means last weekend, was 52, as you can see on the screen there. Hang on, no, that was Friday. The week before that, sorry, it's 53, so pretty much flat. And of course, 1 month ago, 62. So not too far off where we are now. Big news this week. Are we going to get a rate cut? What do you think, Kay?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the question is, are we going to get a 25 basis point or 50 basis point? I think that is going to be the key. I think I believe when I saw it on Thursday or Friday, I think about 90% was 25 basis point, and I think the 7-8% was around 50 basis points. So I think 25 basis point might be on the cards, and then maybe have another rate cut the next month, or maybe have 2 to 3 rate cuts for this year, to bring it down to 150 basis points, something like that, 75 to 150 basis point.
What are your thoughts on the market potentially taking a bit more of a downturn when once the rate cuts start? Because that has happened in previous kind of
Yeah.
cycles, shall we say? Do you think that might happen again? I guess we don't have a crystal ball, of course, but what are your thoughts on kind of the market and the way it is at the moment
So if
for
you
that
if
to
you
happen?
think, if you think about why would the Fed cut interest rate, right? Generally, something is wrong, right? So they hike interest rates when inflation is going up. They are cutting interest rate because unemployment is increasing. So which means that if you have a softer labor market, that eventually is going to impact the revenues of all the companies. So that's where they want to cut the interest rate so that you can pump the money back into the market. Companies can leverage that money to grow and expand. We might see some sort of a pullback or some sort of a I don't want to call it correction, but at least some sort of a pullback once the interest rate cuts are announced.
Yeah, I think that's natural, isn't it, for the market? The market's been basically going straight up since April. I think we are due a little bit of a pullback, so maybe it might be a bit more of a sell the news event type thing, kind of heading into this section of the year essentially. And before we move on, we will just quickly put the ticker requests in there. We've had a few. We are in need of more. So if you are watching this on X or on YouTube, yeah, put your tickers in the comments. We'll get to them in probably about 10 minutes or so now. So not too far away. And as I've got the screen up here, might as well subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're here as well. We've got a few things planned for the end of the year. I know we keep saying that, but it's not the end of the year yet, so we'll get there eventually. But yeah, so a few exciting things to kind of touch on there as well. Okay, let's jump back into the spreadsheet here. If I can get the controls working, there we go.
Mhm.
We'll move on to the next slide. Upcoming earnings. Nothing really to focus on or even talk about here. No.
Not much going on. I think this is pretty much the end. If you like, probably FedEx would be the only one from this list of companies that I would really care.
Yeah, no, okay, we'll move on from that one, and we'll kind of swiftly move on there to our first chart of the day. And of course, we spoke about at the beginning of the stream, um, bullish momentum this whole week, even though the SPY, well, the kind of big players of the SPY, so the Mag 7, shall we say, bit of a mixed bag. But you can see here, obviously, the last 5 trading days, really nice price action. I think we saw it at, what was the percentage? We saw it at 1.43% up,
Yeah,
and the Q's at 1.35. So it's just we keep banging this drum, but it's kind of the trend is your friend. You keep trading with the markets. I probably wouldn't be buying the markets, but I definitely be taking opportunities in slightly smaller stocks. But again, we've said this week in, week out, and you can see the names like, we've seen it before, like Grab and Hood, and these names are kind of moving quite nicely. These smaller names, so it's kind of riding that trend, but taking the opportunities when you see them in the smaller stocks. Would you agree with that, Kay?
absolutely. I think instead of hoping and waiting for a turnaround where you can, add a lot more, I think trend is your friend. If you trade in, if the ticket is going up, just trade it along with it. Like there is no need to hope for the next big crash to come in. That is more from an investment perspective, not from a trading standpoint, right? Trading is you have specific entry points, you have specific exit points to make profit. Those big drops are basically your investment, thought process. That's how you should look at it.
Exactly right. And we touch on the right side of the screen there. We do have a trend-based Fibonacci drawn there. I've got the next target at 620, so that's a good amount. It's a further, I can't remember what kind of price percentage that would be, maybe 5-10%, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, around about there.
Yeah, yeah, about.
Um, so according to this chart, we're kind of on the way to that 620 mark for the QQQ. So we'll see if we can get there before the end of the year, which, the way the year's going, there's no reason why that can't happen. But of course, we do have to be cautious with the market and the way it's going to be, especially with those rate cuts potentially happening on Wednesday. Okay, sweet. Where to find us? This week, I'll let you go first, Kay. What have you got going in the moment?
Yeah, the usual suspects. You can find me on Twitter, X. I post pretty much daily content. YouTube, you can follow the videos on there as well. And then Substack. Substack, I do write up a lot of those videos are in the text format, which could help you get some trade ideas. You can get some investing ideas on that as well.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier to read kind of trading content while you're on the trains and stuff like that rather than watching videos. Sometimes it can maybe appear a bit weird if you're a bit like that. But yeah, it's kind of up to you really. But reading content is definitely the way forward, I think. Get more detail, I think, within the actual article itself. For me, obviously, standard thing, obviously, Twitter, I've got there, or X, I keep calling it Twitter, even still now. daily trading insights, psychology, kind of evergreen content, etc. And the same for YouTube as well. I release videos monthly around evergreen content, so you can keep coming back on your trading journey and keep learning and growing as a trader. And of course, this last one here is chart flow, where you can submit your tickers, and we've got some analysts having a look at those tickers and giving you a bit of feedback into kind of your analysis as well. So yeah, go ahead and check that one out, and we'll move on to the next slide, shall we?
Yeah.
Which is the past performance. And I actually whooped you this week. Rocket Lab up 17%, and Apple, of course, down 2% after the kind of subpar kind of release on their new phone. What do you think of their new iPhone Air? Okay, I'm not sure about it.
Well, I think I wasn't expecting fireworks from Apple, anyways, right? The only off chance was if they announced something around AI, which could take this stock in stratosphere, right? But apparently, it was pretty muted on that front as well. Um, I mean, Air, I believe, is a stepping stone towards the foldable phone that they are
Yeah,
expecting
so
to
I was
launch,
going to mention that. Yeah,
right? I think it's a great form factor. I think some folks will love it. I don't know if you remember the phone from Motorola was a Razr phone. It was extremely thin. The flip phone from Motorola Razr.
I think I've
Uh,
seen them. Yeah,
yeah, that was very popular in the US back in the days. So if Apple can, next year launch the foldable phone, which is has the same slim factor, you never know. You might not need AI to pull those customer base, right? You might just pull in customers who like, oh my god, this looks super cool. Maybe it becomes the next trend, because end of the day, they are still bringing the most of the revenue cash from selling iPhones. So end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you sell through AI or whether you sell through just a form factor. So
yeah. I was watching a video from Marcus Brownlee. You probably know he's quite popular
yeah,
in the
yeah,
YouTube space.
yeah, I know him.
And he was mentioning how it's very, very impressive in person, like how thin it is and how to get that technology inside of it. But the actual tech specs compared to other phones, it's not that good. So it's kind of a catch-22 almost. And I think a lot of people, they kind of look more towards appearance. So I think you might be right. They might sell a little bit more just because of the appearance of the phone, how technology advanced it is with the kind of thinness. But and the point that you mentioned towards the kind of folding phone, I think you mentioned that as well, and I think that's a good point. So maybe this time next year, in the September release next year, we have a folding phone from Apple, which again is an advancement on their technology, we'll say. So
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would say take these low points on Apple as an opportunity to open those leap calls. Because what you can do is 1 year from now, because there are, see, Apple at this point in time, see, I was very bearish on Apple for a couple, months, I would say. And you are here, you can pretty much see how many times I have called Apple as a bearish play.
you can see it on the screen.
Yeah, you can see it on the screen. I'm telling you, the leap call on Apple for next year, maybe expiring in 2027 January, is it's a pretty good trade idea. And when you open leap calls, always try 80 delta or higher. I mean, 80 should work. 70, 80 is ideal. Some people go 90 to be super safe, but you end up paying a lot of money for it. But 70, 80 delta leap call for next year, I think will be golden on this one.
You heard it here first. A little bit of a trade idea there from Kaye. I've actually just written that down so I can have a look at that on Robinhood afterwards. See what they're looking like for January 27. Okay, sweet. So that was a wrap for this week. Yeah, it's not looking good for you this year, is it?
No, this
Pretty
year is a
much.
wrap. Seems like it, because see, you're taking a week off next week, right? And
Yeah,
then I'm
true.
taking a
Yeah,
couple of weeks off in November, December, right? So it
yeah.
seems like I won't have enough opportunity. Even if I beat you every single week from here onwards, I won't catch up.
There's better luck next year, eh? We'll call it.
Yeah,
We'll call it this
2026
year.
might be my year, right? You never know.
Okay, let's move on to the first chart of the day then. I've got AMD. This is my pick of the week. I'm just going to change the format there slightly so you can see the bottom there. Straight away, obviously, we can see a bit of negative price action since basically the middle of August, but it was on an incredible run from that market turn around April, as you can see, kind of down where the cursor is just about, and it's kind of non-stop, basically about 100%, I think it was, which is quite impressive. But it's just a bit of a lag down, but it's brought down the RSI quite nicely, and it's brought down the MACD as well. And you can see actually on the RSI, it doesn't really mean much. And I don't do this analysis ever, but I thought it was quite funny to draw it. But it's kind of breaking out of a trend line for the RSI as well, which again, that's not my analysis. That's just, I thought I'd bring that up for a bit of a laugh. But the other analysis I actually do want to bring up is the MACD as well. So we've got the typically when this orange line crosses the green line, you can see a bit of negative momentum. It's a bit of a laggard. I don't use the MACD too much, but we can expect potentially some positive price action for AMD coming in the next couple of weeks, potentially if the market obviously allows for that to happen. Going on to the actual chart side of things, we do have a bit of volume here on the right side, so a bit of a peak of volume where we are now. I think I'd probably like a 158 entry if we get that on Monday morning. I would like to see how the market starts, maybe for an hour or two, and then see what happens from that point onwards. Obviously, stop loss is quite big at the moment at 144. So I'd like for that stock to kind of move up to maybe 170 straight away, and then I can bring that stop loss up below these lows around 157. Kind of basically a break-even trade at that point. But as it stands, it's a 2-to-1 trade, which isn't too bad for a swing trade. It's not, people often go for that, so it's not like it's the worst trade in the world. But we can see there's a gap fill here as well, which is a bit of a risk on the lower side of things. But we do have a bit of a breakout from the trend line, which I do like, and that's what I enter into. So hopefully I can take all of those points and give them to. Maybe I should start writing notes on the actual chart from what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
yeah, lots of technicals looking good. Probably 4 or 5 points of confluence there for people to have a look at. What are your thoughts on this one, Kaye? I know you like AMD, but what are the thoughts, maybe logical thoughts behind it as well?
Right. So on the because you are using an EMA, right, not an SMA.
I am, yeah, yeah.
So on the SMA, we have the 20 SMA actually, going down, and is touching 50 SMA. So 163.18 is 20 SMA, 162.64 is 50 SMA. So it's curling down, and both of those are your resistance for the current price action. So you may still see, because I think it was Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. It broke through the 50 SMA and then got rejected. So it closed below the 50 SMA. Now with the
Right.
20 curving down, I we might see further downward pressure if it gets rejected from that resistance level. So you have two resistance to beat: 20 SMA, 50 SMA. Also, there is decent trading volume sitting between the let me see, sitting between 156 and 167, which is basically you'll have to break both these SMAs, and then below it you have no volume left until you actually come down to the 145, 135, where is a little bit more volume coming in. So if we see a rejection, you could see those prices pretty soon, because there's really not much going on in between. So that is a risk into AMD going in.
Yeah, for sure. So it's not the most cemented trade to the upside, and I think Kay's pointed that out quite nicely there. It's not something we're looking at completely, but yeah, there's definitely potential for upside, but don't be you know too confident on it. So maybe start a smaller position, I would say.
Yeah, also, you will notice that there are a lot of AMD fanatics who are like, okay, it's going to be $1 trillion company. Well, again, if you are investing in AMD, yes, not from a trading standpoint,
Yeah,
right? Trading,
yeah.
you got to take those profits.
So I'm looking for this to be kind of a 2 to 3 week hold, I'd say,
Exactly.
for that move back to 186, and obviously carry the rest through and follow up the stop loss up behind the 20 moving average as I normally do.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I like it. I like AMD. But we'll see what happens in this coming week. No doubt, I'll post on about that on my X as well at Shaun Trades _. We'll move on to Kay's pick of the week, and we've got, what have we got this week? Core
We
Weave, is
got
it right?
CoreWeave. Yes, we got CoreWeave, and this is in basically, if you were in Oracle Trade last week, or you looked at Oracle Trade. So what is happening now is there's a shift in the way industry is looking at building data centers. Like, you had your traditional hyperscale data centers, but not all companies are hyperscalers. Like, they don't have that capital and funds to build those data centers, because they have a separate business that doesn't it's not just tech business, right? So they're going to start to utilize a lot more of these oracles and NBIS, I think, how Nebulas or something like that. That's how you call it, core
Mm.
weaves of the world. So core weave in particular, as you can see in this chart, again, this was an IPO very recently, so you don't have much data. You only have the 100-day SMA and the 50-day SMA. We don't have the 200-day SMA yet. But you can see the last 3 days of trading, we bounced nicely off that 100-day SMA. Um, if this continues, which means that the potential, the positive momentum of, hey, building data centers, especially these neo data centers, which are geared towards all the AI infrastructure, you could see a swing to the upside, at least to the previous highs, which is was 150, which is from 34% from here onwards. Now, doesn't mean it's going to happen, because the point of control is sitting around about $9,900 range at the bottom, where you see that yellow line, the dash yellow line, that's the point of control. So if we see a rejection from that, we could come back to those prices. But again, you can see this base is building because there's a lot of trading momentum in this area. So if you believe in the stock, and if you want to take a longer position trade, not a swing trade, you can take a swing trade, but I'm looking at a position trade here, which means that it's going to go beyond the 3 month time frame. This is a good base to be building it, and then hope for that swing up towards the equal highs of going back to, I forget, like mid-August, which is about 150.
Yeah, I mean, I have the opposite kind of opinion. I think this is a bit more of a trading stock than a position stock, and that's the reason I say that is because the jumps in the stock price are just all over the place. So if you're holding this for the long term, I mean, for example, if you bought now, just hypothetically,
Mhm.
it came back down to the support here at 88. That's a good chunk of money. It's about 20
Yeah.
percent down. And I understand that you can build a position down here, but then if it keeps breaking, if it breaks these two lows here and it breaks further down and comes back down to 62, that's another 20,
Yeah.
30% off the position. And the reason I say that is because with a shorter position, for something maybe a bit more what I would look for, is if you drew a line from the highs up here, back set back in, what's that, January? No, that can't be
Uh,
right. Don't know when that is, but
Probably
if
June.
you
June.
drew
Yeah.
June, if you drew a line from the top of here and then across this high here, we'd be coming to where we are now. So there's a bit of resistance there in terms of trend line. But what I would like to see is a move that you're talking about, which is this move, a 33% move back up to 50. If we get a move, something like that, maybe even 140, 130, come back down and retest that line, which would be in line with these two moving averages. And this is the daily chart for people that are listening. That would be an optimal entry point for a kind of a short-term trade. And even like you say, like adding to your long-term position because you've got that support underneath. But yeah, I mean, even if you wanted to play this maybe in 2 or 3 days, you could play this momentum with the hammer candle, but it's just a little bit more of a risk for me, I'd say. What with the options, just another quick random question, I guess maybe people might be thinking about here
Yeah.
is the options maybe going into January of next year, thinking maybe it has a good third quarter. Would that be a potential play that maybe what 150 calls until the end of the year? I know it's out of the money, but is that a possibility for people perhaps
So let's
to
see. So
look at?
150 calls would be around $9.95. So about like $1,000 you're putting in, with a delta of 34%. So there's a 34%, 35% chance that it will be in the money.
Yeah, so that's not great odds, is it?
It's
But it
from a buyer standpoint, it's not a great odd. For a seller standpoint, it's actually a great odd, right? Because when you're selling
mm,
options, you want to collect the premium and not lose your stocks. So I would love to sell 150 going into January for my 100 stocks, but as a buyer, I would want to actually look at maybe a 45, 50 delta, like $125
mm.
going into January, because you'll pay $16.90 on it, but on each stock, but it has a 50% chance of being in the money next
If
January.
we get this move to 150 by say November, then you're printing, aren't you, at that
Oh,
point?
you're printing on it. You're printing on
Yeah.
it. It's going
So
to be
that could be
yeah.
that could be some thoughts I think for viewers watching. I'll get my words out there. But yeah, no, I like this pick for sure. And I've written it down on my. Have I written it down? No, I haven't written it down. About to write it down on my notepad, for sure to have a look at those options trains maybe for
Yeah, because
January
if you think
27.
about it,
But
right? We keep hearing about the AI bubble, AI bubble. The
mm,
problem is Oracle just showed you that the AI hype train is still going on. So when AI hype is going on, you have NBIS stock, which is similar to what CoreWeave does. CoreWeave is the leader in this neo AI data center setup. You want to place the bet, and again, trend is your friend, right? So if Oracle has that jump and all these other companies are having a similar momentum, because they also have a lot of backlog in terms of the order and demand, right? The only downside of this company is that they take a lot of debt because they have to build that infrastructure. um, that's why I think maybe using a call option, because instead of you, let's say, buy 100 stocks, you'll have to put what, $11,200. But for a
Mm.
$1,000 one call option for January, you might be able to actually leverage, manage those 100 shares. So yeah, I mean, call option is another way you can play this.
Awesome. Well, I think it's a good chat on there on CoreWeave. It's an interesting stock to have a look at. We'll jump out of that. And we'll just put in the comments here. Make sure you put your ticket requests in the comments. I haven't seen many come through. Have you got the chat? Is it live? Is anyone actually talking or
I don't see any chats actually.
no? I'm
The
not too
only
sure if the link between X and Restream is working properly. I'm not too sure. I just might have to have a look at that afterwards. Because at the moment I don't have any requests, but I think you've got a few, haven't you?
I only have two requests. So what we'll do is we'll go through the max seven then, or at least the top names and maybe a couple others if we don't get a request. Otherwise, we'll continue with the
I'll
stream.
tell you what we could do for a little bit of fun is we could ask ChatGPT what are the hottest stocks, what are the 10 hottest stocks in the market at the moment,
That's a great
and
idea.
we can do that because then
How about we do that? Let's do that.
well yeah, can you get ChatGPT up on your side, and then I'll get
Yes,
the chart up now for people to have a look at.
I'm gonna
Right, here we
use
go.
our
Or
Grok.
whoever, yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't matter which LLM you use, and I'll get the charts up on the screen now.
Wait, we did get two more requests. So let's add
Oh
that.
yes, we've got Jim there, and we've got Sunny's thing as well. So got
MRN.
Moderna and Micron. I haven't heard that one for a while. Interesting to
Yeah.
see what they're doing at the moment. We'll get to those in just a second. Well, what was the first comment from
Apple
whoever
and
it was?
Google. Apple and Google.
Apple. We covered this one in depth last week. We'll have a little look this week as well. So price action that we've had in the last week starts here on the screen. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So a bit of a negative week, but it seems to have found a bit of ground here at the 230 level. So this week's going to be quite big, I think, for Apple. We spoke a little bit earlier, didn't we? Actually, in terms of a logical point of view,
Yeah.
the phone, etc. But maybe we can touch a bit more on the technical side, which I kind of just done. It's found support here at 230, looking like it might make a new high, at least in this section. Not so much all-time high, but a lot of work for that to happen. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the chart here?
On Apple, I think we might even see some chop around here on
Yeah, I
Apple.
mean that makes sense, isn't it? We've got a trend line here as well.
Yeah.
So maybe if we see some chop and it comes back down to this kind of trend line, eventually it'll make that white. So it's nice and consistent. Okay, it looks like we may not actually need the ChatGPT suggestions because we've got quite a few tickers coming through now, which is great. We won't do any of that ChatGPT stuff. Sorry, Kaye, to mess you around there, or whoever it was.
Actually, the
Grok.
funny part is one of the requests is actually from the top three hottest stocks. So we'll
There you
that
go. They're doing the job for us. Awesome. We'll move on from Apple then. What's the next one?
Google.
Google. This one's been powering higher.
Yeah, I mean, look at that, right? I mean, weren't these the same people who were talking about, oh, Google search is dead?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube alone is amazing for Google, isn't it? So I
And
had
at least
248 as a
on
target
this channel,
price.
right? At least on this channel, we have been talking about Google for a long time,
Mm.
right? This was definitely a position trade. Of course, we had to hold it. I mean, it's a max seven, but anyways, continue.
So yeah, I think from a technical point of view, all I've got is obviously if it does continue powering high, I've got 248 as my target price. But the actual line suggests that maybe 253 is that kind of area, would be a bit more of resistance. So there's still a lot of space to run into for sure, for once of a football term. But of course,
I mean,
what's
what I
sorry.
see is like if we see a pullback, we'll probably see that gap fill happening, right? But
Oh,
then
oh,
for
almost definitely, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then most likely, if we have another run before the year end, before we get into the whole tax loss harvesting season, we might even see newer highs on Google. So I wouldn't short the stock at these levels. Um, we might position ourselves for an entry for the gap fill, right? To position yourself to build on your position, or even taking some trades.
So what you're saying, there's a potential for a 5% move up before a 15% move down,
I
potentially.
mean, that really,
Or,
that really depends on the broader market at this point in time. If we see
of course,
continuous,
yeah.
if the broader market suddenly takes a turn, which generally, I mean, September's are not great, but so far, I mean, August, we said the same thing in August. Hey, August is not the greatest month, but then we had a pretty good month. Same thing, September is not great, but again, so far so good. 2 weeks in, 2 weeks left.
And we do have the FOMC meeting on Wednesday, which could Jerome could say anything at this point. Okay, what's next then on the list?
Okay,
Is
next
it,
up is Moderna mRNA.
we've not had this stock for a long, long time, have we?
Yeah, we don't cover healthcare as much, and I think the excitement in UNH has died down since the stock ran up a little bit.
It looks as though we did do something back in January, December, because we have drawn um, basically a bear flag, and I suggested probably, or we suggested that probably it may go down 10%. Looks like it's gone down a lot more than that. It's gone down 40% since then.
Oof,
So not a good year, not a good year for Moderna.
definitely not. And I think I would, as of right now, especially, what was this? Are you looking at daily candle or weekly?
This is a weekly candle, so yeah,
I mean, you look at the daily candle for a second.
it's
The
a daily
Friday, I
candle.
don't know what happened on Friday. Look at this, that red candle is very ugly.
Yeah, it's down 7.4% on Friday. Not good. This is a big support zone as well for Moderna. So if you'd like to think if that breaks, um, it's not going to be looking too good for Moderna at all. Where could it go? Let's have a look. See where it might go. We might have to look at the monthly for this. Well, yeah, look at that for a rise and fall. It could come down to about 20. That's not that big, is it? The
18 drop, yeah.
the ultimate lows you can see there 11.54. So that, yeah, I wouldn't be buying Moderna, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, as of
Okay,
right now, you want to stay away. MU, next is Micron. MU.
Micron. I'm looking forward to looking at this chart because I haven't looked at this for many months.
Oh
And
wow,
oh, okay,
that
Jesus, wow, yeah, that's one hell of a move. You can see what we've done actually in the past. Maybe a couple of months ago, we've drawn a bit of a bull flag here, coming down, a bit more of a channel rather than a flag, to be honest. And I've drawn a little squiggly line here, suggesting that it might come down, come out, come back down, and break out, and it did exactly that. So I didn't trade it clearly, but of course, sometimes that happens. You do great technical analysis and then you don't follow the trade. But like Rocket Lab last week. Yeah, it's true. I did that. Yeah, so from a fundamental point of view, what have you got on the numbers there for Micron? Clearly,
well,
they're doing very well.
I mean, clearly, I mean, their earnings are coming up in September, so I think 923 is their earnings, and we have 20 up revision, so it's expected to beat both the top line, bottom line, and it's a buy across the board.
And we do have three pretty scary gaps here. So the gaps are on the screen, drawn with the boxes. What have I done then? Get rid of that. There we go. So yeah, there's definitely some gaps to fill for sure. It's not going to go up forever. The MACD on the daily actually looks pretty good. So until you start seeing that curving over, then it's doing pretty well. But we're also actually pretty high on the RSI, 82. So just be careful if you're in these, and don't be afraid to take any profits. That's not me telling you to take profits, but just don't be afraid to take profits at these elevated levels for Micron. Okay, what's next?
BMNR. It's the
Uh,
Yeah, you know this one, right? And I
people,
was honestly looking to enter.
I must admit, and that's not me just saying this, I did buy a very small amount on Wednesday. So
So
when was
you're saying
that?
half only,
Here.
right? Now I've been looking to get into this position for a while, but it's like
And
Yeah.
I'll stress it's a small amount. Don't get me wrong. It's like zero point 0.0 something on my portfolio. But
Mhm.
these kind of names, they're the ones that kind of make your portfolio in this really strange way. So that 0.01%, whatever it is, potentially could turn into 1% or 2%, which is pretty good gains, considering. But I may add to it. I'm not too sure, but just gonna see how it goes. Lots of volume here on the right side to push out of. I think definitely the first port of call is 70. So that's a good kind of 15-20% away.
Yeah, with I'll be honest. I was wait. So the 42 to 33 has been resistance and a support for a long, long time, where the stock kept bouncing, and then I forgot to say, okay, when we had that bounce from that, I was like, okay, I'll probably should be adding there, and I totally forgot that the stock exists, on the watch list, and then boom.
See, as traders, we can't cover everything, and that's kind of why we do these sessions in a way, isn't it? Because we can get these stocks back onto our radar and back onto our watch list and potentially back into them. And now this is going to be a bit of a stretch to buy this at this level, considering you probably have a stop loss. Let's have a look at this. You probably have a bit of a trend line here. Bear with me. Trend line here. You probably have a stop loss around 45, which is essentially it's well over 20%, which is not a good stop loss, especially if you're trading with leverage. That's for sure. Um, so yeah, it's difficult to get in these stocks. But what was I really kind of touching on there? The ability to find these stocks again, and obviously helps out the viewers as well. Kind of went off on a bit of a tangent there, but yeah. Should
Mhm.
we move on?
Yeah. Next is MP. Is What is MP? I remember hearing it. MP Materials. They
Okay,
are into what do they do? They produce rare earth materials in the Western Hemisphere. Materials and magnets. Okay.
interesting. They've been doing pretty well. They had a big old gap up here on no earnings. That's not earnings. Another gap up here. So they must have had a couple of good partnerships, perhaps, or good points of news. We are coming down a
Is
bit of
that
a.
the gap? Is that the gap in August that you're talking about? Because they reported earnings on 8/7.
There's no gap in August now,
Okay.
but there's a
Okay.
gap in mid of July and the beginning of July.
Got it.
We do have a bit of a bull flag here, which is interesting, and subsequently alongside lots of volume here on the right side. So this could be an area of interest for people to add to their positions potentially, from my perspective. So you can see it's kind of coming down nicely there, kind of lower lows and lower highs, waiting for that kind of ultimate breakout here. But you've got the volume. Maybe it comes down to 60-ish first, but then you've got the 50 moving average there as well, and a bit of support here on the right side. So maybe that sort of area would be good to kind of indulge a position or add to it.
I think I
Might
also
write that
feel
down.
like this particular type of a company is also very entrenched with the geopolitical news, right? When it comes to rare earth material, refining, defense, just on a dime of a news, right? And news drops, the stock can just go 20%, 30% on one day.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. Maybe if you are trading these types of names, you probably already are following the news, but just be aware of what kind of reports come out at certain times. Because a good way to track that is with an app called Financial Juice. You just get all of the news in your hands or on the desktop. Anyway,
Next
it's
is
kind of
JD. We haven't we haven't really heard of JD.com in a long time. I know you cover Baba often, but not JD or Baidu and all those.
yeah. So this one's broken out nicely, but I think it's got a long way to go as well. I mean, this one again is another big name on FinTwit at the moment, simply because of the opportunity, the kind of risk to reward factor. You've got lots of price action kind of in this area, but I think people are looking at to kind of come back to 60 essentially. So let's draw that line in here, shall we? So that's 60-ish. Let's leave it there for now. And of course, we do have lots of volume that we might be pushing through. So a nice stop loss below here would be where to start. So for example, if we got in now, looking towards 60. It's a big move, don't get me wrong, but these are the moves that we're looking for in the markets. Nice tight stop loss around 15%, and that gives you a 5-to-1 ratio trade for a swing trade, I would say. Maybe not options. You may be able to play some long-term leaps on this. What would your strategy be with options on this, if at all?
Honestly, I don't trade Chinese stocks, so I really don't have a good idea on how to trade these stocks because
And that's a fair assessment.
right, because like generally I stick with my required tickers, and then I throw in a couple of those names that I'm not familiar with. But Chinese stocks, I just stay away from it. Apart from Neo, I think I pretty much stay away from all the other stocks.
There you go. If you don't like it, don't trade it. What's going on? What's next?
Next is CleanSpark, and I think this one has been making rounds as well on the Twitter space. um, I'm not that familiar with what it is, but I know I'm following one of the Twitter accounts, and I did throw my hat in the ring for just a call option. Um, but seems like that this is definitely picking up a lot of
Yeah, I like it for sure. From a chart perspective, I seem to have done some sort of analysis. Maybe I'm not too sure when I did that,
so
but we
CleanSpark.
can
Oh,
see.
it's a Bitcoin mining company. Oh, for some reason I thought it was renewable energy, just
Oh no,
because.
no, this is Bitcoin related. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, got it. Okay. For some reason,
Um,
I thought it was like one of those your end phase, or what was that other?
solar maybe.
Yes, First Solar. Yes, that's the one. I thought it was a renewable energy stock. No wonder. Okay, then it makes a lot of sense. Clean
We've
Spark.
got a comment here from Jim as well. It doesn't always follow Bitcoin price action.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
but
definitely not, because you can see that on the chart.
and if you remember, Mara used to be a very
Mm.
typical mirror image of Bitcoin. It has detached from that as well. It's no longer following that trend as well, and I don't know what's going on.
They're taking their own paths. From a chart point of view, just quickly while I'm here, you could actually, I know I've got the line drawn on here, but you could actually adjust it so you can see where the price action is and where it's kind of finding that support. So this could actually just be a simple trend line retest, because you've got the line coming through here very simply, and you come back down and retesting it. So this could have been a good time to enter. I know that I had the line down here at 850. Clearly, I've missed that opportunity, or maybe I'll get it in the next few trading days, obviously, with all of this resistance here. But if we can get back above that $11 mark and then push higher, all the way towards 22, that would be fantastic, because that's basically 100%. Big moves to be made there on CleanSpark. Okay,
Yeah.
what's next?
Next is SET. I'm not sure what this is.
S
Today there are a lot of
SBET.
names that I don't know. Set 50 index.
I think SBT. Oh, SET. Oh no, he's corrected it.
No,
We can
SBET.
see.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, he's corrected it from SCT to SBET. People have been raving about this one. This one, whoa, blimey, look at this. This is the weekly chart. Let's jump into the daily. So clearly something's happened around this area, like company's been taken over or changed their strategy or something.
So they are
Um,
a online performance marketing company which delivers fan activation solution to its sportsbook and casino partners. The company operates
right.
a performance marketing platform. Okay, okay. So sports betting, casino traffic, all that stuff. Casino and gaming industry.
I see one of my friends on X, Fibonacci Trading, he talks about this one quite a lot.
This one? Okay.
From a technical point of view, yeah. So maybe one of those to kind of look out for. You can see a recent bounce off the 200 moving average here. We've got the 20 and the 50 in the way, and the volume profile. We can get back above 1920. This is a bit of a trend line breakout as well, which I do love. Um, but look at that move it's made previously, all the way up to in the hundreds. Wow. Yeah, it's a risk, but is it a risk worth taking? That's what you've got to decide with these sorts of stocks. Because again, like we mentioned in other stocks as well, if you were to get in here, your stop loss is looking like pretty heavy. That's a 25% stop loss. So you've got to be getting them with some small size for sure.
I mean, this is a
Yeah,
trading stock, right? This is not that you want to hope for, you build a lot of position, because if you look at fundamentally, right, this is a $3 billion, $3.4 billion company. Its revenue is $9 million.
yeah. So not much.
No, not nothing. Okay, moving on. Next is, I think we already covered MP, so NEM.
Fantastic. Newmont Corporation just going up, up, and up by the looks of it. Wow, yeah, since the turn of the year, in fact, pretty much just gone straight up.
Yeah, it's
What do
almost
they what do they
87
do,
billion
Kay?
$87 billion company. They do production and exploration of gold properties, copper,
Okay, so
silver,
probably
zinc, lead, other metals as well. So basically into gold.
up 112% this year. In terms of technical analysis, we actually have looked at this by the looks of it because we do have lines on the screen from a long time ago. But from a technical analysis, you would start by drawing trend lines here, and then the steeper you go, so you're probably looking from there to there. Until that breaks, there's not really much you can do. Just keep following the trend if you're in it, of course.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to take profits, especially with the RSI, probably in its, yeah, there we go, 81, 82 sort of area. So the RSI is looking pretty frothy as well. So yeah, be cautious with this one for sure.
SMR, New Scale Power Corporation. By the way, just so you know, this has a short interest of 26%. So if
Wow.
you're looking for a short squeeze, maybe that's the reason you want to get into this one. This is a small modular reactor technology. So heavy electric equipment, basically. Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's kind of hanging on to this trend line at the moment. We seem to have drawn this before. This was, I think we drew this in April by the looks of it. So we have had this stock before. But it seems to be respecting that same trend line, which is crazy. We've had all this price action since we last brought it up. It's come
Mm.
back down quite handsomely, and they've got a lot of volume here on the right side, as you can see. And volume tells a big story within charts for sure, because obviously that's where the emotions lie. That's where the buying and selling lies. So we need to see a good reaction off of this volume profile for sure. In terms of an entry, I'm not so sure where I would go. I'd probably go on a break of a trend line here. So maybe we come out through these
And
3 moving
retest.
averages and we come
Yeah.
back down and retest it. Yeah.
Because,
Ironically, that retest would be where the volume is. Sorry, okay, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I agree with you. I mean, this is looking, as long as it continues the trend line, I think there's an opportunity to go back to its previous highs, right? That's what the trade you were looking for. Otherwise, if you see on the downside, there's not much volume, and you could slip down all the way. I don't know what the green is, probably a 200-day EMA.
Yeah, that's 200 down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it fails to respect the trend line, even though it's been holding for a long time, if you remember Datadog, when it broke its long-term trend line, the stock went down below $100.
Yeah, no, I remember that very handsomely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep saying
Okay.
handsomely for some reason. But you've also got a head and shoulders here, which also tells a story. There's the
Mm.
head and there's the shoulder. And so we could actually see further downside, reinforcing that kind of thought you just had there as well. So there's two different coins here, two different scenarios that could potentially play out. Okay, what's next?
Next is CAN. What do they do?
Canaan sponsored ADR Class A.
Oh
So
man,
I
it's
think it's a
very
foreign
strong.
stock. Oh wow, 82 cents. But these are the kind of names that you look for in a market like this, Kay, especially at this
Yeah,
point.
true. True.
I'm not saying we go headfirst into it because from a basic technical analysis point of view, if you were to get in now, which I wouldn't, you'll stop loss of 20%, which is crazy. What I would like to see personally, just from looking at this for like 10 seconds, is come back down to this volume and then make a move high up to this recent high of whatever that is, $1.10. I mean, that's, yeah. Which I know you don't trade any of these names, but in a market that we're in, do you ever think about trading these sorts of names, these penny stocks, or you just stray away from them completely?
No,
There you go.
I see. Yeah.
A man of his word. That's all
Uh,
I've got for this stock, to be honest. Yeah.
Next up is ASTS.
I'm going to write it down quickly, though. You never know. What do you say, sorry?
ASTS.
ASTS.
Isn't this like similar to like a rocket lab that you have?
Yes, this is about technology within space, essentially. And it looks this. I've not seen this one for a couple of months, and some previous technical analysis that we've clearly done on these streams, it's come back down to this gap or area that I like to buy. This is kind of how I draw those zones. That's how I know that. So this is going to go firmly back on my watch list, and I'm going to have to do a bit more research either tonight or tomorrow morning to see if this is worth a buy, because we are looking at a bit of a sticky position. We're not quite at the 200 moving average, and we are below the 20 and the 50, and there's obviously this resistance zone here as well, which we could probably redraw to there. We'll cover that there. So maybe the 200 moving average is actually a better area to kind of look at for an entry. What are your thoughts on this one? Any thoughts?
Well, definitely. I mean, I would want to see that trend line get respected right before if you want to enter on this one, because if it breaks, and because you use EMA, I generally tend to stick with the SMA. Let me see on my side. Yeah, I would definitely want to wait for because if this consolidation phase because see, this is a doji candle, right? The last one. So I'm not sure why it's is there an earning coming up? No, it's they missed the earnings, right? So if this is a consolidation space, and then if we see further downside, I would probably look at 3231, which is the 200-day SMA, as a bounce.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, interesting.
Right. Okay, next up is Oracle, the star of the last week, where everybody was talking about Oracle. Actually, I'll tell you this. There are a couple accounts which have been calling Oracle, investing in Oracle from last like 7 8 months, and because of their move getting into the whole data center, and you saw what happened, especially with the OpenAI $300 300 billion um, order that they have. And this is crazy. It's amazing.
It's doing really well in terms of technical analysis. It's really hard to kind of do anything like this after a big move. You want it to kind of calm down for a few weeks and kind of go from there. But
Yeah, I mean, you
hats
have
off to
already
many
missed.
people. Yeah.
You have already missed the move,
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah.
right? So at this point in time, there's no need to get in. Just wait, watch, and see what happens, because the move is already done.
I mean, typically with these moves, you're looking at the 20 moving average to kind of come up. And maybe you could couple that with a nice RSI around 50. That's potentially something else you could kind of add for the move to continue. But it does also rely on kind of broader market moves as
Broader
well.
market, and also you can already see that there's a lot of profit taking in the last 2 days. Look at the
Oh,
selling,
yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah.
They're already taking profits. So if retail jumps in at these levels, guess what? They're gonna just dump the stock, continue to take profits, and then basically you'll be a bag holder at those levels.
Especially when there's no volume here. Like there's literally no volume because of the gap up. So you're looking pretty much a plummet back down to 256 for
Exactly.
any sort of interest in terms of buying. So yeah, be cautious with this one. I wouldn't be buying it. What's
Next
next?
is Meta.
Meta. Wow, I haven't had this one on for ages.
Listen, I am just hoping Meta one day just announces a stock split, because this has gone beyond. I don't want to sell options on Meta.
No, it looks like obviously we've broken all-time highs actually ages ago. So maybe it's looking towards getting them up there again. I never trade Meta. It's one of those names where I just always bypasses me. I trade Amazon and Google,
The problem with Meta
Tesla.
is the problem with Meta is that sometimes it's just not worth trading, because it just keeps going up, and the stock price is getting a little bit beyond the retail reach. Like generally, when you're looking at stocks at 900 $1,000, you really cannot trade in volume.
No, definitely. Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. But yeah, kind of within this budget at the moment, so you expect it with the market the way it is at the moment, just to kind of break that and continue higher. A bit of a boring analysis there. What's next?
Microsoft.
SFT. We have had a very nice comment there from Jim just coming there. Great show. You guys get straight to it. We do try our best. It's when the tickers start flowing in, Jim, that we have to kind of ramp up the pace a little bit. Because we didn't have any until about 35 past,
Yeah.
35 past the hour. And then all of a sudden, all of these tickers come flooding through, which we love, of course. So keep them coming. We probably won't get to all of them now, but you have to come back in 2 weeks' time, because we're not going to be here next week, to get your tickers in nice and early, so we can get to those tickers and have a look and give our thoughts and feelings towards the stock. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. Microsoft, what's going on here?
Man, it's
Oh
making
look,
all.
this is
I don't know what else to say. Like,
this is our man Manram. He's on X today, putting his comment forward. Fantastic. Good to see you, Manram. Welcome back. Um, sorry, so you want to say something about Microsoft?
I mean, there's really nothing to say on Microsoft. It's like, it should be in your portfolio and you should continue DCA. That's pretty much it at this point in time. There is nothing going on. I mean, there is a big gap fill, and the big gap down. Let me see how far that gap is. That's about like a 22% gap, right? You see that gap down there?
Oh yeah, I've been playing with the chart. This one down
No,
here,
but
yeah.
that's below 200 and 300 SMA as well. So if you ever get that opportunity on Microsoft for that gap fill to happen, if and when, right? I think you should definitely take advantage of it. I mean, I will definitely.
Yeah, interesting point. And even on the kind of smaller side, even because if we go down to starting to lag a little bit, which is a bit of a shame, it's because the weather outside is like a hurricane out there. Um, Even on the smaller side here, Kay, you've got an opportunity because it's kind of broken out of a few key moving averages. You can keep a nice tight stop loss, probably around here. And you've got a trade, maybe not to the all-time highs at the top here, but we could probably bring that down to around about 536. That's a good 2-to-1 trade, and you're probably looking at that move within a week
Yeah.
if everything goes right with the broader market. So there is definitely opportunity to be made on the shorter term time frame. But yeah, from a longer term time frame, like you say, it's hard to add at these levels for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
next up is Tesla, and I think this was the sleeping pick in the Mag 7 for a while, because we already got those gains in Apple. I think this is the next one. I they broke their equal highs from February, like we have been talking on Tesla. And if you remember, the last two trades I took on Tesla did not materialize because of just the timing of the wedge.
Mm.
But the thesis played out beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, you could have drawn about 5 or 6 different wedges, couldn't you? But it still played out, like you just mentioned, with the thesis. Um, yeah, my trade is almost secured. I probably could have taken it at 395 and saved
Mm.
myself some fees over the weekend, but unfortunately, I was a bit busy on the Friday, so I've had to leave it over the weekend. But
Listen, I mean, you never know. This might be going to the 420s. You know?
yeah, and that's what I've got on the chart. We've spoken about it for months, haven't we? We've
Yeah.
brought this one up. We've brought this one up quite a few times over the weeks. 420 is definitely the target because obviously 420 is kind of one of Elon's main numbers, as he likes to say. But 400 for me is a bit more of a psychological level. Just how I like to trade. I like to trade at kind of fives and zeros, shall we say. So once it hits that, I'll obviously take some profits and leave the rest to run. But yeah, I'm excited. It's definitely been a great couple of days for those Tesla investors and traders. In terms of maybe adding, I'm not too sure if it comes back down to
No, no,
360,
no.
maybe, but it's a tricky one to add. Tesla's always a funny
It's.
one to add to.
I think when you see those strong bars, I mean, you have already missed the move,
Mm, exactly
right?
right. Yeah.
Y- You're just chasing at this point in time. All right, moving on to the next one, Zeta, Zeta.
How many have we got left? Because we've got
So we have Zeta. I think Dilpak JV said APLD and Celsius. So 3, 4, 5. I don't think
four.
we'll be able to
Okay.
cover 5. So let's probably cover Zeta and Celsius, I guess. Unless you want to cover a couple more.
We'll rattle through them. We'll see what comes up because there might be penny stocks, which is obviously tricky to do technical analysis on and give our thoughts. Zeta, this one was quite heavily favorited actually within the FinTwit community, I think about 5 or 6 months ago.
Okay.
Um, what are we on? This is a daily chart, yeah, of course. So that was so it's kind of gone up since, kind of higher highs and higher lows, which is what we like to see. Potentially a breakout here happening on the 21 level. What I would like to see from a pure technical analysis point of view is, oh, there we go. Just there's no surprise. A quick breakout, come back down, retest, and go higher because that's where the volume is. That's where the price action is. Essentially, what we're looking at.
Okay.
I
Next
do
up
like this
is,
actually. Yeah,
write it down then.
I'm gonna. Yeah.
Next up is Celsius.
Celsius. I'll let you talk to this one. Wow, what a move!
Hold on. Let me bring up my chart here. Celsius.
What a
What's going?
move this is.
Ooh, what happened with Celsius? What did they do?
They start selling drinks, I guess.
Well, I mean, it kind of faded on the Twitter words, and then I feel like it's starting to pick back up. But beverage buzz Celsius only tracks the bull rating from Goldman Sachs. So I think this was September 11th, so pretty recent. What happened with their earnings? Let's see. They had a report. They beat both top line and bottom line, so that probably is the reason. 8.7 is when, yeah, that's the gap up that we have on the daily for Celsius is because of the earnings, and then now
Yeah.
they got the rating. Man, I mean, I have not been. I mean, I used to trade this mostly last year. This year, I have not touched Celsius at all, but this is great. What I would watch for
Yeah.
the SMA breakout or rejection, and based on that, I would decide whether I want to get into, because they still have those gap between the 45 and $50. So if you see a rejection from 20 SMA, you might want to wait for that gap fill to happen before building that position or a swing trade. That's what I see on my side.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that the moving averages, as you said, they've. I know we have different moving averages, but there's not too much in them. But they've used them as support
Yeah.
consistently in the last kind of 6 months or so. And zooming out to the weekly chart, I think is really important to kind of show people. When you're doing analysis and you like a stock and you think that might move in the next 6 to 9 months, it's worth looking out for confluence on the weekly chart and even the monthly chart, but that's probably a bit too long. But you can see here converging, lots of volume was building in this, kind of 2 month period. And you've got the moving averages, the 50 and the 50 and the 200. That would have been a really nice time to enter, just there, because you've got the volume here on the right side that's been created, and then subsequently we've had that move since, and that's probably around about 40% move. So just be aware of those on your charts. I've just pulled a wire from. I hope that's not important. Yeah, what's next?
APLD.
APLD.
It's Applied Digital Corporation. Don't know what it does. Let's see.
$18.68.
It's
Seems to
internet
be making
structure.
seems to be making that move already, doesn't it? Um,
Yeah. Let's see. They have a short interest of 21%. So in 1 year, it has returned you 200%, 210%, and year to date is 144% up. So,
looks like it might try and keep going as well,
yeah.
breaking out of resistance here. Okay, what's next?
Okay. Next up is PRCH. PRCH. What is that?
Orch Group,
Group.
a
What do
random name. Another
uh,
one that's just kind of going from bottom left to top right.
they are also in the SaaS space, application software, insurance platform. Okay. It has a short interest of 11.8%. 120 million in revenue. Okay.
You've got to only be interested if it came back down to maybe 16 for a move back up to kind of
So the
21.
channel, yeah, you're right.
Just to follow the pattern it's been following. Until it breaks this, then that's the kind of moves I'd be making for sure. If it breaks this, then that's got a different ball game.
Oh, then you're looking in the 11s, basically 10 11s. That's where the volume starts to build up again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's what the 200 moving averages is. So
exactly.
yeah,
Okay,
okay,
next
we'll move on
is,
to the last one of the day.
yeah, TEM, Tempest,
Tempest
right?
AI. This one is annoying because I didn't get into it. This we spoke about this last week, I think, but this is the trajectory. You'll be happy to know, Sky is the limit, who brought this one up, that this is the trajectory that I wanted for TEM. Obviously, subsequently, I haven't actually got into it, and I probably won't now just because of where it is and where the market is. But yeah, 120 is where I'm looking at, so that will make you very, very happy. Um, it's a Nancy Pelosi stock, so that's always a good sign. But yeah, this is the weekly chart. It hasn't been on the market too long, but yeah, that's the kind of overall view of kind of where we've got to there. Any thoughts on this one before? we get in the stream.
No, I think you got this absolutely right. That 120 definitely looks, as long as it respects the channel. I think it may chop here and there, but as long as it respects the trend line, I think you are looking at that upward trend.
Absolutely. And there's no reason why you can't get it in now. I mean, people are saying, maybe thinking now, oh, you're talking about 120, but it's currently 86. There's still price to be made. And that's a fair point. So you're probably looking at where the volume starts. So just before we end the stream, maybe come back down to 74, 75, just a natural reduction.
And
And maybe that could be a good place to start a position
and
or
you know
add.
what I would also say, if you look at their income statement for a second, right? So it has the revenue is steadily growing, and their gross profit is steadily growing. So sometimes some of these names are meme kind of names that
Mm.
eventually grow into the valuation. Am I
Yeah,
going
there's
to invest?
sometimes
But I'm saying now, if this is going to those $120, you can see why that reason, because the fundamentals are slowly starting to catch up, right? The revenue is going up. Still an unprofitable company, still they are in loss, but their loss is decreasing. At least a decrease from last to this previous quarter they reported. So as long as they are on the trend to the profitability, you could hold the stock as a long term play. But again, I don't know much about it. That's how I would look at it if I'm an investor.
I think what we've both taken there is definitely one to add to our watch list and do a bit more of due diligence on for sure. That concludes the kind of audience request section. We went through quite a lot there. We've actually run over about 5 minutes or so, which is okay. I don't have much else to do this evening, but well, how are your thoughts kind of going into this week ahead? Are you a bit more cautious or what's going on?
I'm definitely a bit more cautious. I'm pretty much only going to stick with the trades with CoreWeave that I pointed out. And the reason is because I've been in CoreWeave trade for a while now, so I kind of started to understand the pattern of how the stock moves. This is the reason why I don't tend to trade all the names that are
Mm.
thrown, right? Because I tend try to understand how much the the move would be. When you trade a same ticker week over week over week, you kind of start to get the pattern and the blueprint on how it moves. It could give you a surprise. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there are surprises, but most of the times, it's in that range. So especially if you're doing iron condors and all those, you kind of understand how to take profits. So yeah.
I think that's a really interesting point, actually, and I think people might take a lot of value from that. When you're trading in these sorts of markets, obviously it's very tempting to kind of go into all of the names. They're all going up. Technicals look good on a lot of them, but maybe just concentrate on a few names that you know and perhaps a few names that you're interested in rather than going all in on a random stock that someone mentioned on X. Oh, well, lots of people mentioned on X because you want to kind of follow that trend. And that's okay. But make sure you're just being careful with the amount of tickers that you're kind of supplying because all of a sudden you can get a lot of positions kind of ramped up and then Donald Trump will come out and say something and the market will be down 5-10% within a week and then all of a sudden you're on margin call. So just be careful when you're out there when you're trading. Just be mindful of how much you're putting into these trades and how many trades you're actually taking. Yeah, hopefully that was a lesson that people can kind of take from. Obviously, make sure you subscribe to Trading Weekly on YouTube. This has been another fantastic session. We will not be here next week because I will be in sunny Spain, or it's not so sunny where it is. But of course, I'll try my best to be as sunny as possible. I'm kind of rambling now. Kaye, any last thoughts before we end the stream?
No, I think we should all watch the report this week from what the decision would be, 25 basis point or 50 basis point, and that's going to set the stage for the next weeks or so.
Yeah, but that's on Wednesday, probably a couple of hours before market close, just for people for context there. And a massive thank you actually while we're here to Wolf as well, for letting us use the platform. We couldn't do without you, and we really, really enjoyed it week in, week out. Nice one. Take care, everyone. Have a great trading week, and yeah,
You
trade
too.
safe. See you later, Kay.
Bye.